For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the Dark Tower, before the Empire. You may fire when ready.
I'll show you the dark side. Don't worry, Arthur. We're going.
Back it up.
First what you have there. I am a Jedi, like my father.
Welcome back to Blah Wars. Jude sipping on a drink. What have you got there, mate?
Got a cheap little Camden Hell's lager.
Oh yeah, from Camden or from Hell.
Other brands are available.
Okay,
it's not an advert. So.
All right, fine. I'm being as British as they come. I've got a cup of tea in a stolen mug from the diner, which is also in London. So there you go.
Is diner a British word? It's an Americanism.
Oh, no, I know, but it's in London, isn't it? The diner, those chains of authentic American style diners they've got with all the red sofas and tables and whatnot.
Next level British. Go on.
Pancakes for breakfast. What can be more British than that with maple syrup all over them? Welcome back to Blah Wars. If you're a new listener to the show, this is Blah Wars. Welcome. You don't have to listen to all the episodes in order, but we've done like a best of.
Helps.
It does, but I don't want anyone thinking that they have to go back to episode 1 and listen to every single one in order before they can listen to the new ones, because there's no continuity between these at all. No. We might do a few callbacks, but then that's the gift for the people.
Yeah,
that's the gift for the people who have listened to them all. I suppose they're rewarded in that way. Massive Star Wars news this week. I mean, it's been loads of it just spinning through because filming for episode 9 is well underway.
Yeah,
and mainly in England so far, and I think Scotland as well. But we can talk about that.
Highlander all over again.
Yeah, with the filming locations, you get people taking pictures of, the shoot going on from a distance, all zoomed in and blurry. We've had a couple of them come through. The cool thing about that is it then puts pressure on Disney to announce other members of the cast, doesn't it?
Who's doing this?
Because
who are these people? They're basically train spotters.
No, they're local people, I reckon, from a local shop who they've gone out, they're walking the dog and whatever, they're like, oh look, Star Wars is being filmed, I'll get some cheeky pictures with my camera. It's probably Paps and whatever with their well, when filming goes on, it's not really a secret because you've got loads of trucks on location, you've got loads of caravans and stuff like that, and it just draws people to it, I think. And obviously if you've got a decent camera with a nice zoom lens on it, you can get some pretty decent shots of the action.
Of hairy horses.
Yeah, but it also kind of pushes the studio to announce new castings because sooner or later that means they're going to be imminently filming with those characters, I think. And yeah, so let's go over these pictures then. We've seen, 3 or 4 pictures, maybe 5 if you look at different websites. They're mainly the tabloidy kind of sites you can see them on. Pictures of they look like they were shot in Scotland. I think it's the Highlands in Scotland, and they're of the Resistance characters, Finn and Poe. Chewie's there as well. Yeah, Naomi Akkie's character is seen in the photos as well. A couple of other faces I don't recognise. They might just be extras, or they might have really small parts, or they might have small roles in the film.
Knob gag, standard Blah Wars.
There's these horses we've seen. They're obviously riding around on horses.
Those bad boys.
Yeah,
big red glowy eyes. And
furry horses. They look a bit like the original Jabba the Hutt costume from A New Hope when it was just a fat guy in a load of fur.
Just fat horses.
Yeah, they've left the horse's face exposed, but some of our listeners, eagle-eyed listeners, have noticed they've got green tape on their faces, so presumably they're going to replace them. Yeah, with a CGI head of some sort. But to be honest, I think they look good as horses, so why can't we have furry horses, woolly horses in Star Wars?
Horses? Are they real horses?
Yeah, they're using real horses.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Bit of natural movement then.
Yeah.
riding them.
Do you want to hear the premise of what I've heard about the first kind of the start of the film?
Right, this is a first for you, mate, because you never ever, in all the years I've known you, want to get involved in any sort of spoiler action.
Well, if this is a very minor spoiler. This is a very minor spoiler if it's even true. But
should we put a spoiler warning?
Yeah, we'll give a spoiler warning. So we're going to talk about some rumours and theories about the film over the course of this episode. And some of it has been reported in the press, and some of it is simply me and Jude coming up with our own thoughts and ideas about this. So if you don't like the sound of that, turn off for this episode, come back next week. We've got 55 other ones you can go and listen to. Yeah.
Hear about my mum in the video, man. Classic.
I think the opening of this movie is going to involve what's going on with with their allies, the resistance. They've got to build their numbers, and they've got to find their allies that didn't respond in The Last Jedi. And it's said that they're in the planet you see, the place they're at with those horses and everything, that's in the Outer Rim, and they're on some sort of quest to find the rest of their numbers.
Band of brothers.
Yeah, which could explain why we've got all those new characters in there. So maybe there are other factions of resistance across the universe and across the galaxy. Sorry,
what's happened? Is their Wi-Fi gone down or something? Like,
are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Or do you mean metaphorically?
I'm talking about metaphorically in the universe. Like, they
right.
have to go by foot.
Maybe they were busy.
Quick, knock down doors and say, "Do you want resistance?"
I never really.
Message.
It never.
Pigeonhole.
I think it's very unsatisfying the way that they say we've put out this distress call, but none of our allies are responding, and then Leia's like they've lost hope. It's sort of like, what? That's not really any way of. I want a better explanation than that, really. But the time has passed for that, really. I suppose. I reckon they'll have to explain if they're going to introduce swathes of new characters. They're going to have to.
I hope they don't, mate, because it's the last film in the trilogy. And do you know what worries me, mate? Is
what?
This happened in Revenge of the Sith. They waited so long, and then he got halfway through that film after that pointless crap with General Grievous at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And then suddenly he's remembered, hang on, Anakin's got to turn to the dark side and become Darth Vader. Blah, blah,
well,
blah.
we talked about that before, but the problem with that is because he hasn't paced himself and he started the prequels too early.
That's where we are in this film.
I'm not sure. I think there are a lot more. There's a much greater First Order army than what we've seen in both the movies so far, and they are literally spread across the galaxy. And this gives you a chance to introduce new enemies, new kind of superior leaders and whatever in different regions or whatever. And the same goes for the Resistance. The Resistance has pockets of them everywhere, a bit like the French Resistance, but it's in the galaxy. And I think it's all about getting in touch with these people and reaching out and finding them.
They had them in France, but go on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Calais.
Okay. In Calais, I think.
That was the main
Paris.
part of the Resistance.
So I would really like to see the First Order reigning like The Last Jedi told us they were in this movie. I don't want to see just 5 or 6 Star Destroyers floating around space and about 8 Imperial Walkers on the same planet. I want to see them, dominating everywhere. The galaxy, banners up and all this kind of stuff.
Like people about.
Like a new empire, basically, which is what they're trying to be.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they've made this new trilogy and they lost the rights to use the term empire, so they just basically copied it exactly.
Right, exactly.
A bit like they did in the Daniel Craig Bond movies when they came to make those. They wanted to, at some point in the 60s or 70s, the makers of the Bond movies lost the rights to use Spectre, the organisation which mastermind everything that Bond is fighting against. They lost the rights to use Spectre and the character Blofeld, and for years they weren't allowed to pursue that, so they had to come up with alternatives or just avoid that altogether. And when it came to the Daniel Craig era, they still couldn't use Spectre, so they had to come up with this new organisation called Quantum, which is basically a knockoff Spectre.
Right.
And it's only recently that got
Until
turned around.
Came out, which was just called Spectre.
And it had Blofeld in. Oh, interesting enough, a little bit of trivia for you, and this will interest some fans. There's The Empire Strikes Back. It stars, well, it's not stars, but Julian Glover's in that, right?
Yeah.
General Veers, and he's also he plays the main villain in For Your Eyes Only. Okay, he's not the only Empire Strikes Back actor in that movie, turns out, and I didn't know about this until yesterday. So this was pretty surprising. But you know, at the beginning of the, I don't know how familiar you are with For Your Eyes Only. It starts off with a scene where Roger Moore's visiting his wife's grave, and
Didn't even know he's married.
Yeah,
It sounds
Bond,
like you're going
Bond
to about
got
to
married.
do. I want to see you do full Alan Partridge. That's not how you do Bond.
No, that's superfluous information. A helicopter picks him up and takes him into London for an urgent meeting, and then it turns out there's a bald guy in a wheelchair. It's Blofeld from behind. It's alleged to be Blofeld controlling the helicopter, and he makes it dive through all sorts of buildings or whatever. It's quite a memorable scene.
Yeah.
Turns out the guy playing Blofeld in that sequence, which is shot entirely from behind his head, is actually the same guy who played Lobot in Empire Strikes Back. How about that? John Hollis, his name is.
Cowabunga.
So, nice little bit of movie trivia for you there, guys.
Clang, clang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang.
Clang-a-lang. If you don't know what that is, any international listeners, you've just basically got to Google Alan Partridge Bond, and you'll pretty much find everything you want on there. So yeah, I just wish they called the First Order the Empire, or the Second Empire, or something like that, rather than the First Order, because it all fit. They've got look-alike kind of ships that look grungy and shit, and they've got.
I would have just gone. We are. They can't be called the Empire anymore, can they?
New Empire.
Yeah, but they're not an empire.
But they've got a fucking planet. They've got a fucking planet. It's actually a big space station, and it shoots massive lasers across the universe and blows up other planets. And they've also got identical
Let's just retract. The whole point of this conversation is if you want to see the film start off with the First Order in utter control of the entire galaxy. Mm-hmm. So you want to see various shots of various planets that we know.
No, I'm not saying that should be the first shot of the film. Obviously, that'd be a shit way to start the film.
Rogue One doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Now in Rogue One, right, every planet you visit, there's a really massive Imperial presence there.
Exactly.
Even like they even go as far as parking. I've never seen this before in a Star Wars film. A Star Destroyer, not in orbit, but actually
on top of
in the atmosphere, floating above a city.
Jeddah.
I mean that's one of the great images from that movie. It's full of the Rogue One is like the most beautifully photographed Star Wars film. I don't think they're ever going to top that. The cinematography on that is fucking incredible. However, cinematographer for Blade Runner 2049 is apparently working on Star Wars Episode 9. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. Yeah, I've got complete belief in that guy.
Just on that, I want to see Kylo Ren in power.
You saw Kylo Ren in power technically at the end of the film, but there's no kind of grand at the end of The Last Jedi. But there's no
power means like
throne
in charge of people, in charge of planets, that sort of thing, making massive decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't get that. He kills his boss, tells Hux to bugger off, and
him and Hux are very much at the same level still, despite the fact that Hux refers to him as Supreme Leader a couple of times, which I don't really like, because Kylo Ren is Kylo Ren. I don't think he should have a title. You don't, if you know Snoke dies, you can't just take the title. I don't think that's.
Is he still? So he's Kylo Ren, right? Let's just talk about that.
Yeah,
he's Kylo Ren, and he's Ren because he's leader of the Knights of Ren. Is he the leader of the Knights of Ren?
Yeah, apparently he is.
Does he even care about the Knights of Ren?
Or is he the
anymore?
last of the Knights of Ren? I think he says.
Even
Master of the Knights of Ren, or last of the Knights of Ren. I'm not sure exactly what the word is, but we'll assume that the Knights of Ren will be in this movie, assuming they've not all been killed off screen. or something.
Well, it's an interesting point because they got mentioned in The Force Awakens. Next film, nothing.
Yeah.
But Kylo Ren is still using that name, and it's a pseudonym because that's not his real name.
Do you think he'll have his mask back? Because he smashes up his mask in this movie. That mask, by the way, shouldn't exist because it was left on the Starkiller base.
Yeah,
and that
but
blew up.
I've said this to you before. You don't. If you got a mask, you don't have one mask. You have like 10 of them. It's like
but no. I don't think so because Kylo Ren's mask is really chipped and bashed and whatever. You can see that in The Force Awakens. It's like a combat mask. It's a bit bent in places as well. And in the Last Jedi, his mask is exactly the same condition it was in the first film.
Maybe Hux picked it up for him on his way out.
So Kylo Ren's laying there in the snow.
Hux rescues Kylo.
Yes, I've heard about that too. So Kylo Ren's laying there in the snow. He's all slashed. He can barely stand up. Down comes a shuttle. Oh, quickly, get Kylo Ren into the shuttle. We've literally got like 10 seconds before this whole planet explodes. And he's like, no, wait. I left my helmet on that fucking bridge. Why the fuck did you do that, Kylo Ren? Well, I guess I had to show my face. I show my face to my father, killed my father. I couldn't just go outside with my helmet back on because it would have been an anticlimactic thing to do, especially with this big snowy fight sequence I'm about to have.
Do you think we could just nip back and see if it's still there on the bridge?
Send some stormtroopers in to recover my helmet and bring it back to me, please. And if you can do that in the next 10 seconds, then we can jump into light speed and get the fuck off this planet. That would be really good.
You don't see his ship going into light speed as the planet blows up.
No, that's true. There could be a time difference. Let's say there's a couple of. It does appear that they. While that fight's going on, the planet is pretty much about to explode, and they all get out there in the Falcon and their X-wings in a nick of time. I mean, literally the nick of time as this fucking place goes up. It's all a bit too dramatic, and there's too many problems with it. But that's what's happening.
I'll tell you what, mate. When we get to episode 100 of this podcast, you are going to be hating on this new trilogy more than the
I tell you what, with every week that goes by, I think I like the sequel trilogy less and less. I will never ever. It's absolutely way better than the prequels. You know me, I will never accept the Star Wars prequels as actual Star Wars films. I know they exist. I don't own them. I don't have them in my house. I won't even, if they're on television, I would never like...
Well, that's an absolute travesty because you've got every single copy of Thunderbirds on Blu-ray. Getting priorities, right?
And every copy of Doctor Who and all these... I like a lot of British old-fashioned TV, me. But the prequels are so unwanted as far as I'm concerned. They're just unnecessary. They look like cartoons. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. I don't know why. I was just washing my hair. Close your eyes, have a think about stuff. You know, you wouldn't know what that's like, mate, because you haven't got any fucking hair. You run down the stairs and your fucking hair's dry. No, anyway, so I was thinking about it, and I came to the conclusion. You know what the best thing about the prequels is, mate?
Go on.
The fucking end credits. Not really. John Williams' score in all three is actually the only thing worth salvaging from those films.
Stuff should have stayed, but he should have kept some of that for the sequel trilogy.
But to me, they just play like hyper sped up cartoons. They look quite cartoony in lots of places. The dialogue is utterly shit through most of them.
Mate, come on.
The only good prequel is episode 1.
Obi-Wan screaming at him, "You were my brother, I loved you." Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, Revenge of the Sith has a couple of good moments that I don't mind watching again and again.
The Vader mask scene.
I hate that. There's a mistake in that as well.
What do you mean?
There's a mistake in that. When you see the long shot of Vader laying on the bed, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't got the lower part of the mask around his neck. You know, there's like a neck brace thing.
Yeah.
That's missing. And then the very next shot, as the mask is lowering, next shot they cut to a close up of Anakin's face. The fucking bit at the bottom's suddenly there. So it's just stupid little things like that. And the reason why those mistakes are in the movie is because everything you're seeing apart from Hayden Christensen is a fucking CGI creation. And it's literally built together on a computer. Like, you know, those films look terrible now. In about 10 years' time, those prequels are going to look 10 times worse because of... You were complaining about... You say to me, how can you watch Thunderbirds? You can see the strings. And I'm like, mate, how can you watch the prequels? They look like fucking video games from 2002. I mean, they look terrible. They look terrible. The only good Star Wars prequel is Star Wars Episode 1, and even that is fucking ruined by unnecessary CGI sequences. A whole bloody army of fucking fish people who are all CGI. Loads of fucking CGI robots trouncing around, and they're not even good robots. They're clumsy, they're stupid, they say things like whoopsie. It's like when they were programming them. When they were programming them, whose fucking idea was it to say, let's make them say human little tweaks like and whoopsie. It's just they're built for fucking murdering people. They're actually built for battle. And they talk like children. It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, I think if you cut out the gun battle, completely cut out all the gun sequences, you've got a reasonably okay Star Wars film there, I think.
That is got to be the best rant you've ever done on the prequels.
And you know why? Because it was clean. This might be the only episode you can play in front of your family.
Mate,
we've gone way off topic, haven't we?
I'm actually
Sorry.
I'm crying.
But anyway, going back to the sequel trilogy, yeah, I'm starting to lose love for it, but I am very excited for episode 9. We're going to need they've really got to bring out the big guns here. They've got JJ back. I think on reflection, I prefer JJ Abrams as a director than I do Rian Johnson.
Whoa, big shout.
I think he may... I think JJ understands what the fans want better than Rian Johnson did.
Yeah.
And I don't know, even though I do like The Last Jedi, when I watched it again the other week...
Here we go. Here we go.
No, I did think to myself, like, this movie is basically a very slow chase through space with the cutaway scenes that are mostly the same thing happening again and again, which is either Finn and Rose are somewhere and they get caught, and then they're out again and they get caught, and then you've got Luke Skywalker and Rey, and it's just constantly him going, "You're wasting your time. No, I'm not coming back," and you know, coming back and forth of that. So, yeah, The Last Jedi is a bit of a mess when it's a long movie as well, and that, I'll tell you what, The Last Jedi does. You really do feel that running time when you watch it again.
Mate, yeah, but what you're feeling now is what I felt immediately after, like the next day.
I can understand that. Yeah, even the bit where they're building up to the battle, there's no tension or excitement. Like when the Battle of Hoth is happening, right? But in the build up to that, we spotted Imperial walkers.
Yeah,
whole fucking place is trembling. Everyone's running around like crazy. What are they doing on that planet at the end? Standing still, just. Standing still and licking salt off the fucking ground. It's salt. What's the fuck? Why is that in there? Everybody's just, the base is just full of bloody silver foxes, and yeah.
It's the equivalent of episode 1, Battledroids all over again.
Yeah. It's just the sequence where they fight the walkers as well is nowhere near as exciting as I remember it being. It just very little happens in it. The problem, these tiny little crappy like pod racer things.
I'll be honest,
are charging at these walkers.
Do you know what? Those flashback scenes with Luke, and he ignites the green lightsaber.
Yeah,
and you see the sort of Jedi temple stuff go. That's the stuff that I'm interested in. That's that
Yeah, I
bit
know.
of era. Those
Unfortunately,
little flashbacks,
though,
I'm like, oh, what?
I
I'm trying
know.
to look in the background and see what's going on. And
I think we're all wanting more of that, but unfortunately, the time has passed now because they decided to set this sequel, set the Force Awakens 30 years later, and which obviously makes sense because of the age of the actors that they're carrying over. But
well, can you imagine?
You've now got all these blank
it's 10
holes.
years after the Return of Jedi. Well, what the hell's happened to Leia? She's let herself go. Oh, they blow the Death Star up, and she's just been swigging gin and kebabs. Brilliant.
Han Solo, it wouldn't explain Han Solo's walk either, or the way he kind of waddles around.
There's no amount of time spent on Tatooine to age him that quickly. I'll tell you that much.
But let's go back to the what we were talking about with the casting. Massive casting announcements this week. 2 reasonably well-known faces have been cast in Star Wars. The first is Matt Smith, who I'd say is world famous as being Doctor Who. What number was he? Not 12. It was 11, wasn't he? The 11th Doctor.
Not my favourite, I'll be honest.
No, one of my least favourite Doctor Who's. To be honest, I felt he was too young, and I don't like. I just don't like his voice. He annoys me.
When he got involved, I stopped watching it.
I know that a lot of people really like Matt Smith.
On my tits.
Oh God, that was fucking tedious. A lot of the problem I have with Doctor Who, and I'm talking about the last sort of recent 6 or 7 years of Doctor Who, has been it's been in control. It's been the work of Stephen Moffat, and I really dislike his writing. He did some really good standalone episodes of Doctor Who back in the early days with
Don't Blink and stuff like that.
Yeah, that one, and he did the Are You My Mummy one that was quite good, really really good actually, that one. So he's responsible for some of the scariest modern Doctor Who stories, but as a showrunner he was fucking awful, I thought, and his opinion of what women are is just disgusting. Anyway, he seems to think that all women have to be extremely sexual, and that whole River Song character is my most loathed creation ever. I absolutely can't stand her. River Song, you know what I'm talking about. She's this woman who keeps popping up. She's met the Doctor. Every time she meets the Doctor, to him it's the first time he's met her, second time he's met her. To her, she's going the other way around because she's met his later selves first, and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting. That's an interesting concept, but the character is so fucking annoying, and she's I can't. I'm getting pissed off just thinking about her, mate. Sorry, Alex Kingston, but I really don't like your character. Anyway, Matt Smith has been cast in this. Now, apart from Doctor Who, he's done The Crown, which is... I don't watch The Crown, but I'm told...
Yeah, I've watched it. It's a massive production on Netflix. It's like 25 million they pumped into that.
Oh, I know. Massive money forked into that. And apparently he's doing a really good job in that. He's done a couple of kind of British films that I've not seen. The only other big film I've seen him in was Terminator Genesis, in which he has about 2 minutes of screen time. Yeah. But it turns out he's Skynet. He's like the human... He's the imposter, if you like, with the resistance. And he has this really crap American accent. So if they are going to... If he has a talking part in the film, I really hope he's using his natural British accent, which is as annoying as it is, will hopefully suit better, unlike what they've done with Finn. But then again, the American accent really suits Finn, I think.
I think.
What do you think? Goody baddie? Because he
bad guy. I think he's a Knight of Ren.
Yeah. What?
I think he's a Knight of Ren.
Oh.
Mate,
I don't want
that. It goes back to they have to bring these Knight of Ren guys in to this film.
I reckon we'll see them, but I don't think...
This is what I think. I don't think... You know that flashback scene of Rey where she's scrubbing on the floor and it's raining and those Knights of Ren... Yeah, they stab someone through the chest, don't they? I don't think that's a flashback. I think that's a flash forward.
Yeah, I've always thought this too.
I think that is something that happens in episode 9.
Yeah.
And they take their helmets off, and one of them's this guy.
Yeah, okay, I can buy that. I can buy that.
Whatever his name is. Can't remember.
Right now, Kylo Ren's rebuilding his helmet from the shattered bits all over that lift floor. Okay, cool. So,
mate, what's going to happen?
I agree with you. I think he's going to be a villain.
Castle. Kylo's living there. He goes to his wardrobe. You'll see like 10, 20 helmets. He'll just pick the nearest one up.
Okay. I like to think his helmet's like a homemade thing that he's done himself, because he's a wannabe Darth Vader, right?
He's got a 3D printer.
It's got a 3D printer. Okay. I know it's meant to be a combat helmet. And it's a modified combat helmet, and all of the Knights of Ren, you only see that glimpse of them, but they're all wearing very unique-looking masks, that every single one of them has something very distinctive about it. They reminded me, well, it doesn't remind me, but when I saw Solo, Enfys Nest and her gang, again, they're all wearing these unique homemade masks that are sort of all made of junk.
Right, and they are basically living in barren wastelands.
Yeah, I know, but it made me think about the Knights of Ren and the way that they all have these unique appearances, whereas the Praetorian Guards, for example, all have very similar outfits, don't they? Even their masks are quite similar.
I would be extremely disappointed if we do not find out who these guys are in this next film.
I reckon your questions will be
answered.
Disappointed
I was as not seeing Luke Skywalker kick ass.
Where do you think Richard E. Grant fits into the film? We talked about his announcement before.
I did think he might have been another Knight of Ren, but I very much doubt it. He'd make a pretty cool bounty hunter, maybe. I don't think he is. I
mean, I see what Richard E. Grant does really well. He does comedy really well. And he does kind of like crazy. He does crazy really, really good.
Right,
and
so you think he's some sort of like...
Yeah, I kind of... some sort of like... some sort of crazy cackling... You remember that Indiana Jones film with John Hurt in it, the really shit one?
Yeah.
Remember John Hurt was this babbling madman for most of the movie with long hair and a massive beard.
Yeah.
And he somehow had this wisdom inside him. I reckon Richard E. Grant might be doing that kind of thing. He might play the wise old man type thing, but a crazy old man. And again,
How old is he?
Oh, he's in his 60s. He's in his early 60s, I think, Richard E. Grant.
So
I don't think he's young enough to do physical combat stuff. Either that, or the most perfect role for him in the film would be as an Imperial officer, a very senior one.
So you're saying
a former Imperial officer.
He's sort of same age as Solo.
Well, yeah, he's a bit older than Adrian Edmondson, isn't he? So if you're thinking about the sort of age of the character, you can just totally picture him dressed in black with a little cap on. Or like Tarkin, he doesn't wear the cap. He's kind of he's higher rank.
He's got to be a flipping admiral or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in that. I mean, you can't go wrong with Richard E. Grant in the movie. I really hope they use him well, and I hope it's not like another Max von Sydow, where great name on the credits, but yeah, he's literally got 2 minutes. And while he's in the movie, I just want to see more of him in that sequence. I really want to see more of him. He's Max von fucking Sydow, for God's sake. Yeah. Ming the Merciless and whatever, and he's the fucking priest from The Exorcist, and he's royal. To me, he's royalty. He's screening. I rank him up there with Anthony Hopkins. So it's like putting Anthony Hopkins in your movie and using him for fucking 2 minutes, in my opinion. So Richard E. Grant, I hope he has a large part to play in the movie, and I hope he's a very... I don't think you could miscast him. I'm sure they'll find they've got a suitable role. He's obviously auditioned for a particular role.
Richard E. Grant film?
Within and I, hands down. Yeah. Have you seen that one where he brings
Spice World. So
he's a manager. Yeah. He's really good in that. Really funny in that, and like so suave and like super rock star kind of cool, isn't he? Have you seen that movie where his girlfriend has a baby and then she dies and he has to raise the baby by himself?
Yes, something Sarah, isn't it?
Yeah. Something about Sarah. I can't remember what it's called. Something
Sarah.
Raising Sarah or something like that. Jack and Sarah, yeah. Jack and Sarah, absolutely
sad film. Do you know the best thing about it? It's so cute because he goes off on this crazy bender, and he comes back and he's suddenly got this baby.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't even know how to dress it, so he pops it in a flipping jiffy bag, pops a sock on its head, and then takes it to the shop to go shopping. It's only like 5 weeks old.
It's adorable.
Super cute.
They should do that with a James Bond film. I'm going to pitch some ideas for James Bond films in a future episode, but one of them is James Bond gets a knock on his door one day, opens the door, there's a baby there on the doorstep. James Bond has to take it on missions with him. Okay? He's not been partnered up. M hasn't lost his mind.
Idea.
Okay, what about this one then? Get ready. James Bond versus Dracula. Finally. Okay? James Bond takes on the Lord of Darkness himself, Dracula.
Cool. Well, James Bond's already been in a Star Wars film, mate. He played a stormtrooper.
Oh, yeah, the current Bond has. Yeah.
Here's an idea. Monkey tennis.
That's not your idea, it's Alan Partridge's idea.
A partridge amongst the pigeons.
Film it in a pub car park.
Yeah.
What was the one which he says he'll film in a pub car park? Youth Hosteling with Chris Eubank.
That's it.
The other big announcement for casting this week is Dominic Monaghan from the Lord of the Rings movies. Do you remember what he's called in the Lord of the Rings film? He's one of the hobbits.
Yeah, the squash nose one.
He's not the one that's Frodo. He's not the one that goes Mr. Frodo, Sam. He's not the one called Pippin. Merry? Is his name Merry or something?
Yeah, it's Merry. He's definitely a Knight of Ren, mate. There's no doubt about it.
You think he's a Knight of Ren?
Yeah.
You think he's playing a villain?
Yeah.
I think he's too sort of fresh-faced for that. You know what I mean? He doesn't have like a...
is not how I describe it.
No, not... He's got a weird face. Actually, we're going to talk about faces. We should really lay into Matt Smith. Matt Smith's face. It's like Frankenstein's monster. I mean, stick a bolt in his neck.
Mate, do you know what
Put him in a pair of platform shoes.
You ever see those African tribe women with plates in their lips? He's got one of them in his chin.
He's got a massive chin. He's got a massive head. He might have been the guy who came in the cinema and sat in front of us during Rogue One. Maybe it was Matt Smith with his massive head.
Do you know what he looks like?
What?
He looks like a man, as in M-A-N-N, one of the aliens from Star Wars.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're going to prosthetic him up, give him yellow eyes.
Plagueis. He'll come back as Plagueis.
I'd really like to see him as an alien rather than as a human character, because I guess we kind of imagine, it's a human actor. They're gonna definitely use that person. I mean, look at I can't pronounce her name for the fucking life of me. I'm so sorry, guys. It's my embarrassment, massive liberal guilt here. The young woman who voices Maz Kanata or whatever her name is, Maz Kanata. So when she was cast, I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then she's playing a CGI character. Yeah. So I was a bit kind of, so maybe they're going to be casting these people in CGI roles. Some of them anyway. Potentially.
I don't know, man. It's like, what's the point? Get anyone for that.
You could, but you need an actor behind behind the suit, don't you? You need the voice as well. You could get anyone for. In the old days, they would have got anyone. They wouldn't have got like a established actor and dressed him up as a monkey.
I don't know, man.
They get a weightlifter to play Darth Vader for fuck's sake. And I think they met Pete. How did they find Peter Mayhew? He was working in a hospital, wasn't he, or something like that? And somebody said, "Oh, you've got to go along and meet George Lucas." And he just looked him up and down and went, "Yeah, you've got the role." What am I going to play? You're going to play a monkey. You're
going to play a walking carpet.
Yeah, big space monkey. Yeah.
So leave your stable job at the hospital and come and be a space monkey with me.
But over the coming months, we'll get more and more glimpses of this film being made. Yeah. We'll see the major stars shooting outdoors in location. I reckon quite a large amount of this movie will be shot indoors, though, on sound stages for both. Yeah, if you think about, a lot of Star Wars takes place on ships, therefore that's indoors. It's nice to get out and about and have location shoots going on, but I think
the shot I've seen, is half the Falcon in a massive forest.
I saw that too, but I'm not reading too much into that. I don't think it's been destroyed or anything.
No, I don't think. No, it's half the Falcon.
It's literally they've built one side of it for a shot.
But it looks like Endor, or it looks like Naboo. I think we're going to go and see some familiar planets in this.
Well,
that's the one thing, mate. This is the one thing that's bugged me a little bit about this new sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
What planet have we seen from the OT or the prequels?
None at all.
And those planets, mate. Those planets are almost characters in themselves.
Yeah, you're right there. We
need a little bit of that, Tatooine vibe or Naboo or something.
I agree. I tell you what, though, isn't it?
That's where I think the Falcon is. I think it's in Endor, or it's in Naboo or somewhere cool like that.
Well, I mean, you could take a walk through the woods where I live here in Hampshire, and you look around and, this is a bit like Endor. I mean, that's what I think. So any woodland basically looks like Endor. Do you remember when The Force Awakens teaser came out and everyone was going, it's snowing on Endor? It's like, well, just because there's not just one planet with fucking trees.
Yeah.
Maz Kanata's castle, for example, is on that lovely planet, which is all really lush and green. That's one of my favourite. Actually, that's probably my favourite place from the Star Wars new trilogy. This sequel trilogy is where she is on that Takodana planet.
I just want to see.
I love it.
Do you know one of my favourite?
They might be going back there, mate. They could be. They could be there.
One of my favourite scenes, and it lasts for 2 minutes in this whole new Disney era, is that scene in Rogue One where it's a flashback to Jyn when she's on Coruscant.
Yeah, you like that bit, don't you?
I like that because it's just it's nostalgic of almost
the
episode
prequels.
1.
Yeah.
You need, even if it's like a sprinkling, you just need a sprinkling of something. Like
the Falcon always looks so good when it's surrounded by trees in like a woodland sort of setting. The Falcon just looks like it belongs against that kind of backdrop. Way better than it does stood around in a desert. Way better than it does stood around on board a spaceship. It always looks, to me, the Falcon always looks great when it's against green and lush jungly things.
The other thing we haven't had yet.
What?
A space dogfight.
Yes, I wanted to talk about this. I was thinking the other day, Rey claims anyway that she's a really good pilot, and we see that in The Force Awakens. She's a fucking good hot gunner as well, and she's really good at force sensitivity, great reflexes. I would love to see her leading a squadron of X-Wings or whatever they're flying now.
We've had
into battle.
That's a little bit of a lie. We've had a little bit of a space dogfight at the beginning of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But it wasn't X-Wing, Millennium Falcon, let's go nuts on it.
No,
like
exactly.
Return of the Jedi style.
I want something Return of the Jedi style, similar to what we got at the end of Rogue One and at the end of The Phantom Menace. A large multi-ship. You know the opening shots of Revenge of the Sith with that massive space battle where that ship goes past. That's one of my favourite shots from the prequels, really. That great big war going on.
I think in this episode of Blah Wars, you have said more positives about the prequels than you've said about the sequels.
Maybe. Like I say, each of the prequels, with the exception of number 2, has some moments that are worth sort of savouring. But maybe the bits when they're walking around Luke's future home in episode 2 are worth watching again. But there's not much going on, really. That fucking guy in a wheelchair. Mate,
Clay Glass.
He's so fucking stupid. He bought the same robot twice. I mean...
He dies, mate.
I know, sorry, it's his son. It's his son, Uncle Owen. He buys C-3PO and R2-D2.
But what annoys me about that is...
Stupid. Bought the same robot twice, 30 years apart, or whatever it was.
Do you speak bocce?
Yeah.
3PO wasn't speaking bocce when he was there before. He was fixing water evaporators.
Yeah, moisture evaporators.
That's it, yeah. The hell? Do you speak bocce?
But anyway, what are we talking about? Dogfight, yeah. So I really want to see Rey in the cockpit of an X-Wing or a A-wing or something.
Yeah.
And somebody shared on, I mean, I don't know where I saw this. It was on Instagram the other day. I was scrolling through and I just saw various Star Wars related items. And one of them was a on-set photo of Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, sorry. But he was sitting in the cockpit of what could be an X-Wing or an A-Wing, or I think it was an X-Wing. And it obviously wasn't being filmed or whatever. It was just him going, I want to sit in one of these again. And it looked so cool. And I thought, what a shame we won't get that ever again. What a shame we won't see Luke Skywalker at the controls of an X-Wing.
Do you think a Force Ghost could control an X-Wing?
I'm not sure about that, but I think that's pushing it a little bit. If they can generate lightning like Yoda does, though, I guess anything's possible. Do you reckon Luke is really dead?
How about this? There's a snow speeder, and you've got the two cockpits.
Yeah.
You've got Rey in the front and Luke Ghost in the back.
That'd be okay. Yeah, I like that idea. I really like that idea. I always love those. I love any vehicle in Star Wars where you can sit two people in the cockpit back to back.
Weird. I was like, what's the point? One's flying and one's shooting.
Yes,
how crap
that's
do you
the
have
point.
To be?
No, because you've then got a dedicated gunner at the back, and I swear that in the Y-wings take two people. Although in the movies you only ever see one person sat in them. But I always under the impression it was a similar thing in the Y-wing. You have a gunner on the back, and you have like an ion cannon on the back.
Cockpit. I got some more news.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So the Sun newspaper, that lovable rogue of the gutter press, basically.
Yeah, the hater of Liverpool football supporters. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd never buy a copy, ever. But if you're interested and you want to read this on their site, Ewan McGregor has been spotted down in the studios on his own.
What studios in Ireland?
No, in where they're shooting Star Wars. What are they called?
Mate, courtesy job. That's a courtesy job. He's rung up. He said, "Can I have a look around the new sets?" They've gone for you, and
right.
Yes, no, mate.
He needs to be playing Ghost Obi-Wan in the next film.
How do you fucking explain Ghost Obi-Wan being an old man and now being a young man? What's that force projection again?
He's going to put makeup on him, aren't they?
They're going to what? Did you stick a load of flour in his hair and a big bushy beard on Ewan McGregor? Yeah, you don't get Alec Guinness, mate. You don't even not even close.
Mate, yeah, but I'll tell you what you do get. You get Obi-Wan Kenobi, because that's...
You get Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, I know. I don't knock him playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just don't think they look anything like each other.
Well, mate, they could just CGI his face a little bit. I mean, that would be an amazing feat if they did that. But also, look, what is the point of them going through all that effort in The Force Awakens of that flashback scene with Rey, where Obi-Wan's going, "It's take your first steps," or whatever it is?
They changed Alec Guinness's voice to say
Rey.
They
used Guinness's voice for that, yeah. But do you know who came in and recorded some audio for that?
Ewan McGregor.
Why would he make all that effort to say
it wasn't
one
really
word?
any effort. It's probably like an hour in a sound booth, wasn't it, in London somewhere?
An hour in a sound booth. Yeah, but that's still effort. Okay. Hey, can you take an hour of your time out for what? Can you just say...
They probably paid him 400 quid or something. He's on his way. You know, gets a peep at the new movie, gets invited to the premiere and all that sort of stuff.
Look, how much money would you put on him being in the next film?
I think it will happen. I think it will happen, but I don't want it to happen.
If it happens, why not?
Because
you're the only one.
If you're gonna put Obi-Wan in the movie, you've got to do it as a CGI Alec Guinness, really.
No, you don't.
Voiced by
Ewan McGregor in there.
No, I don't think he should look younger again. I think if you
he won't. They will mix his face up to make him look like Guinness.
We'll see. I mean, I don't.
Right, let's have a vote on that. I'm going to put a vote up on our Instagram. Right.
All right. Should Alec Guinness be in episode 9? No. Should what's his face?
CGI Guinness or Ewan McGregor
in the flesh?
This is people want Ewan McGregor like you would not believe.
I know they do. There's a massive outpouring for it.
The best part of The Last Jedi for me was Yoda. That was just incredible. Yeah. I felt like I was watching Empire Strikes Back again.
Yeah. The Yoda scene was really needed, and I was a little bit disappointed that he's not actually seen Luke Skywalker in 30 years. Like, you'd assume that he regularly appears to him and they regularly talk and stuff like that. Through everything Luke Skywalker's been through.
Especially like the Jedi Temple, what he just not bothered showing up. Yeah,
exactly. You would have thought that he'd warn him or at least help him or something, but he didn't. He sort of just literally waited until Luke was about to burn the place down before giving him a little sort of inspirational, motivational talk. And it convinces him to help, doesn't it? It convinces him to generate himself and appear in front of everybody.
It convinces him to basically kill himself via Skype.
Now, do you think... Skype. I mean, I've always thought Luke Skywalker died in The Last Jedi. He's been cast in this movie, presumably as a ghost. Do you think there's any opportunity for him to come back from the dead? Like in that original Return of the Jedi script, where they all come back from the Neverworld.
Is he actually dead? Maybe he's learnt teleportation through.
Actually, to be fair, we shouldn't really say he's dead, because that's not the truth. When somebody fades away, when a Jedi fades away in Star Wars, then they're not technically dead. They've become one with the Force. Whereas if you're like decapitated clean off and there's a corpse left after, you're not one with the Force anymore.
You are dead. You're dead.
You're dead. Yeah. If you surrender yourself to the Force, like Obi-Wan does, he puts his lightsaber up, and he just when he gets swiped down, he disappears immediately. Yoda disappears, and Luke disappears, and I guess I don't really know what happened with. What would have been cool is when Darth Vader dies in Return of the Jedi, if he actually disappears in front of Luke, and Luke's just left clutching all this armour. That would have been fucking awesome. You don't see
him disappear. That's the weird thing, because there's a few shots of... So when Yoda dies, he's gone instantly.
Yeah.
When Vader dies, when Anakin dies, he's still there, and there's a shot behind Anakin's head where you see his weird nose.
Yeah.
And he's still there.
Yeah.
And it's a bit weird. Was Luke burning the body, or was he burning the...
I always took it to be his body. He's burning the body.
But it wouldn't be... How could he become one with the Force then? If his
I love that shot, by the way, at the end of Jedi with Vader laying on that pyre. It's all just burning up, and his suit's all kind of like crackling and stuff in the flames.
Nine's intriguing, man. It's definitely the sort of... there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah. I think JJ Abrams is the guy... I think JJ Abrams is the guy who will answer these questions and will recover this after the massive fan backlash to both The Last Jedi and Solo. And
I heard someone online saying that Kylo Ren's job in this is to go around killing Force sensitives. What's the point of that?
What, to sort of just continue Vader's legacy, to wipe out any risk of...
discontinue. Well, that kid and the broom.
Yeah. How many people do you think Darth Vader has killed? When you count all of the on-screen ones, him personally.
Luke Skywalker's killed more.
Do you reckon?
Hit on the Death Star.
Oh, yeah, good point, yeah. And most of the people on that Death Star, especially at the third one, sorry.
Were just cleaners.
They were just contractors, mate, just hired to build the fucking thing. Imagine the insurance claims. Imagine the insurance claims against the crumbling
Through
empire.
The roof, mate.
Grand Admiral Thrawn up to his neck in paperwork. Endless insurance claims for different contractors who were hired to work on that fucking thing when it blew.
No, you just bury it, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah. A write-off. All right, I've had a fun show. Have you?
That was, mate, the bit about the droids and the whoopsie, I thought I was going to die.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of Blood Wars. We'll be back next week, as usual. Hopefully there's some new Star Wars stuff on the way for us to talk about. If not, we'll find a way around it. We usually do.
We'll just talk about our lives.
Yeah, let's talk about life again. All right, I've been John Gantini.
I've been GK.
And may the Force be with you.
Nobody does it better.
And I'm a naked woman in silhouette with a gun, spinning round.
Makes me feel sad for the rest.
So, bit of nipple.
Nobody does it half as good as you. Baby, you're the best.
And now a really big bounce right over, and I'll land on my feet.
I wasn't looking, but somehow you found me.
Oh, bit of bush.
I tried to hide from your love.
And a woman swinging on a Luger, a giant Luger. Ooh, look at that. Now another naked woman walking on the top of a gun, completely Billy Bollocks. And then one more big swing from a woman, legs go right apart. Oh, what was that? Too late.
And nobody does it better. Though sometimes I wish someone could. Nobody does it quite the way you do. Why'd you have to be so good? The way that you hold me, whenever you hold me, there's some kind of magic inside you that keeps me from running, but just keep it coming. How'd you learn to do the things you do? And nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. Baby, baby, darling, you're the best. Baby, you're the best. Baby, you're the best.
Yeah, so, do you want to hear some more?